remember what you said about this scene. It couldn't mean love. Now I know what you mean. But I see it all like a movie screen, and I just follow.
Well, good afternoon. Angela, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Well, thank you, first of all, for taking some time to meet with the HR blockchain.
You're welcome.
We are so excited to gain from your knowledge in the industry and find some best practices that we can share with other people in the industry as well. Your pedigree precedes you, but I am going to ask if you wouldn't mind giving yourself a brief introduction, if that's okay.
Sure. So my name is Angela Shaw. I'm a native Austinite, so I am a unicorn.
I am a unicorn too. So
You
thank
are?
you. Yes,
Yay.
welcome.
I'm very proud of that fact too. So I love to tell people that.
Yes, I'm very proud of that fact. Although everything's changed.
Yes, it has. So the one thing I love to say, you used to could go anywhere in 15 minutes in Austin.
Yes.
And now you can't get anywhere in 15 minutes in Austin.
Right. And then the people from Houston and California come and say, it took us 45 minutes just to get down the highway, but we're okay.
Yes.
But not to interrupt your bio, but you're right. I had to say something about the unicorn piece.
That's okay.
Okay.
So I was very intentional about going into HR. I did not get serious about my career until later in life. Mm-hmm. Not because I'm not a serious person, but just making the decision about what I actually wanted to do. And ever since I made that decision, everything that I've done has been for that purpose. Mm-hmm. So I love people. I got into HR because I love people. Right. And as I progressed in my career, I wanted to be able to provide not only to my organization, but to people outside of my organization. So that's what has led me to some of the other things that I do. Teaching a class at Austin Community College, the volunteer leadership part, being a mentor to people in the community. It's just that love of people. I would also say that in my career, I'm a product of hard work. People don't always reach out to bring you along. And I always said when I got to the point in my career that I could reach back and help people, that I would. And so that's really what, especially the last 5 years or so, that's what my career has been about. Reaching back, helping people, empowering them, supporting them. I want everybody to be better than me, to do more than me, to reach all of their goals. And so everything that I do right now is about that.
Well, that's amazing. What a statement. And I love it. And so reaching back, empowering other people, and I really am going to drill a little bit on that, because I was reading one of your quotes, and obviously I follow you on some, LinkedIn and different social media channels, and it was a quote. It's all about the people, right?
Yes.
And that struck me, because that told me a little bit something about yourself,
yes.
And now it's starting to put that into context, if you will. And I like that I have found with and I apologize to say the creme de la creme of HR, that it seems to be this selfless kind of thing to want to help out others. What do you think brought you to that point where you were saying, where was maybe that catalyst that said, I want to go help these other people? You said it was hard work for you.
Yes.
I'm in the same position. I worked extremely hard to get to where I was, and nothing was ever handed my way, as you can probably imagine.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, what was that little catalyst that made you want to reach back and help those other folks?
So this is a great segue into my true passion of HR, which is diversity and inclusion and workforce readiness. So I believe people deserve a second chance, and in a lot of cases, a first chance, like myself.
Yes.
So that really, for me, was the catalyst. It was being in organizations and not being given opportunity, even though I was worthy. It was applying for jobs and not getting a real chance at those jobs. It's all of the closed doors that are complicated reasons that people don't tell you the truth about. Those feelings are not fake. They're real. Those are real, actual things that happen.
Real biases.
That exist, yes.
Subconsciously.
Yes.
Or consciously.
Yes. So if people can have unconscious bias and it causes them to take action that a lot of times is negative, why can't people consciously and actively make decisions to do positive things for people? So for me, it's a conscious action to do positive things for people in groups of disenfranchised people who wouldn't normally receive opportunity. So obviously I want to help anybody, and anybody who comes to me, I will talk to them, I will support them, I will make introductions, network, anything I can do to help, but purposely and actively helping those people who otherwise would not, get that help.
And you gave a keynote on this recently.
I did.
And, I read some of the reaction to it, and it was phenomenal, right?
Yes.
And I think that maybe, what do they say? Some shoulders need to be shook a little bit, right?
Yes.
And that was what I took away from that keynote, and watching that was opening a new mindset for me. And I feel like, from what you're telling me, in the sense of you're saying, putting the employee first, putting others first. This is the empathy and humility that leads to winning in all cases.
Yes.
Whatever winning is defined for you. And I see, since just speaking to you just a short time, this passion about diversity, which in fact I have in my life have faced scenarios where, frankly, doors weren't as open for me in organizations in, the great state of Texas, which I can say things might have changed a little bit, and I'm happy that they have.
Yes.
And I still encounter that, but on a day-to-day basis. But you opening that door, I want you to be aware that, as from the HR community standpoint, we're thankful because it's going to, I think, parlay into more conversation, we hope. Yeah. And that's where we're going from there.
Yeah, so this year I said 2018 was going to be my year. So I have been actively pursuing opportunities to be on a platform to speak to more people. A lot of times when people talk about diversity and inclusion, it's all about numbers. It's all about a business case, which is great, and
or
that's
a pie
fine.
chart.
Yes, and I love that, and I understand where it has its place. But again, just being a person who's about the people. So when I speak about my experiences. I speak about people that I personally know, their experiences. So these things are really happening, in the talk that I gave that you referenced, the vice president whose picture wasn't on the website, that actually happened.
Yeah.
In 2017. So we're talking recent.
And to put that in context, the vice president of HR, who was a minority's picture, was not on the website.
Exactly.
Okay, right.
Exactly. So,
wow.
That's why, because at the end of the day, people are the resources. These are the humans that we are talking about. These same people. Everybody wants to feel included. Everybody wants to feel appreciated. Everybody wants to feel valued.
Right.
So when I speak to diversity and inclusion, and really just anything that I speak about, I'm going to make it about the people.
So let's talk a little bit about the strategy behind that, because you talk about, everybody wants to feel included and valuable. I talk to a lot of folks about that, and that sort of has a little bit to do with engagement. Would you, would you agree?
Yes.
And, in the cultures that you've built, obviously, and the things that you've done, this has been successful. So if you were going to talk to, you're an adjunct professor, right?
Yes.
So you're able to speak to the young, up-and-coming HR folks, which is inspiring. So what kind of advice do you give them on a day-to-day basis when it comes to maybe that engagement piece, that retention piece, even attracting talent? What are some of those, I guess, how can we put that in a bigger scope and kind of give advice on that?
Well, I think individually, each individual person has a part in it. So themselves, they need to be sure of how they feel about things and where their power comes from. So before they can impart advice or help in an organization, they have to be sure of themselves. So I always recommend to new HR people or people getting into HR that they have their knowledge base, that they research, that they network with other people, that they take the time to think about their strategy and where they're coming from. And I always tell them, be flexible, and that everything is not black and white, pun intended. Yeah. That there are lots of shades of gray.
Right.
And that when you are making decisions in an organization that are going to affect the people, There are lots of shades of gray. So I think that flexibility in the world that we live in is not just black and white. So I would say that's probably the biggest piece of advice that I could give to them, is that being flexible and just recognizing that there are shades of gray.
And you said something earlier that really caught my attention. You said understanding yourself.
Yes.
And this is something that I've been studying a while, which is this concept of self-awareness.
Yes.
And this is, and I don't know how that plays into HR necessarily, but when you're talking about the human resource directors and the people I deal with, VPs of HR, officers of HR, directors of HR, we talk about the self-awareness that they gather. It's obvious with you. Your piece is, let's help others. Let's get others. I remember you saying, and I won't forget, I want to see others do better than I have done.
Yes.
That is an incredible mentality. So now, when you mention that concept of them understanding themselves, right?
Yes.
Which to me leads into this idea of self-awareness. Well, it's something I've been studying a lot and trying to be aware of my own limitations and my own pieces. Part of this project, in fact, was stepping out of that zone, right? And understanding where I wanted to be. Now, I will tell you that the HR leaders that I talk to, and a lot of the, in whatever position they're in HR, when they do have one of these aha moments or, amazing ideas, whether it's around retention or hiring or development of the employee, whatever be the case, that needs to then kind of be packaged up. And usually it's sold upstream into the C-suite because maybe it requires a budget, maybe it requires a certain amount of resources to be placed that way.
Yes.
So the biggest challenge that I've run into in this space is a lot of folks don't know how to position that. And so in your organizations, in your experience, how have you successfully been able to maneuver your strategic goals into the C-suite?
Well, I think definitely taking them options. So not just saying it has to be this way, but having a couple of options to pick from that align with how I feel about the organization and business too. So that's part of knowing yourself. So what do I stand for? And being in an organization that you feel like you're in alignment with the organization's values, it certainly helps to be able to do that. I know myself, this is what I believe in, but I work at a place where I know they're going to listen to me. So options, I would say, is the first thing.
Right.
Make sure you make that connection between talent and business success. So, head count translates into dollars. And at the end of the day, the dollars are always important. But what does this mean for us? So spending these dollars, what does this mean for us when it comes to talent? Are we going to be able to keep people and retain key information? Are we going to be able to do more with less if we put this money into this system that's going to help us? Be able to make that translation for the C-suite. I think that's really important. I would say timing of when you go to the C-suite with your information. Timing is everything. Exactly. That is so true. And then, as much as I hate to say it, because I always say I'm not technical, but data-backed solutions. I mean, I feel like that's important. You have to have your data to be able to back up what it is that you're saying. So I would say, in my experience, those are the things that have worked and have been helpful in making the case, to the C-suite.
You heard it here first. For those of you that have projects that you're working on in HR that you are hoping to get across your CFO or CEO's desk, excellent advice from Angela on that. So take the notes, rewind the video, and frame your project there. I think that's fantastic. Thanks for that answer.
Thank you.
So we're going to move back into kind of your concept of service, because you have given a ton back to the HR community. You're very well respected. Every time I mention your name to anyone in the HR community that has had any contact with you. So the idea is you were first president of the Williamson County Human Resource Management Association, WILCO, which, by the way, is also the name of my favorite band. So I'm very excited about that. But then now I believe from there you have now transitioned, and I'm sitting across from the president-elect of the Austin Human Resource Management Association. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
I know that
you.
is not an easy vetting process, and so I'm very happy that you have joined that. I'm sure everyone is extremely excited for your energy to be brought there. The question I have around that is, Williamson County, now Austin, why, this is a lot. You have a lot of projects. I know you're a busy person.
Yeah.
Starting with a brand new project at your new company right now that you're going to implement.
Yes.
So this is a time, maybe away from family, maybe away from other obligations and friends. What is that? What's driving that?
It's definitely a balancing act, but there's some quote about the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others.
I love it.
So I really live that. And I mean, we've kind of talked about it before, but it really comes from a place of sometimes people just don't know what they're capable of. I hope to be a role model. I hope for people to look at me and say, my goodness, I can do that too. So I think that's the first part of it, is that I love showing other people that they can do stuff too. And then I think the other part of it is just being a diversity and inclusion advocate. I love to be diversity. So I want to bring diversity to the board. I want to bring inclusiveness to the board. And I want to serve the community. So whatever they might need that I can provide, I want to be able to give that to them. So I get more out of it than I give, though.
And that's what I
feel like I wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for volunteer leadership. I probably wouldn't have this job. I wouldn't have made the stops in my career that I was able to make. Not just because, we're going to pick her because she did this stuff, but because it molded me as a person. It's made me a better leader. I've learned so much, how to collaborate with people, how to communicate with people. It has really personally helped me grow as a person to be self-aware. If you're a leader in an organization and you receive a paycheck for that, obviously you're getting paid, so you want to do somewhat of a good job.
Right.
A volunteer leader is just something completely different, and it adds a couple of layers to that leadership training that you receive, because everybody who's on the board with you is a volunteer too. So you could all be doing something else, but you're choosing to serve your community. And there's so much learning from that.
Absolutely.
So, I feel like I've received so much more out of it than I've given. And volunteering will be something that I will always do.
Okay, so it makes sense now to me when you talk about this service that you're, and also that you've given, and also that you've gained, and some of the folks I've spoken to have talked a lot about their mentor groups within ARMA. And I don't know if did you see the cover of the new SHRM magazine?
Yes.
So to put that in context, the cover of the new SHRM magazine was acknowledging the Austin Human Resource Management Association for its mentorship program.
Yes, called Just in Time Mentoring. We're very proud of that group.
Tell me a little bit about that. What does that mean?
It's just wonderful. Really our program is formal, but it's informal in that the pair can decide what their mentoring looks like. So whether that's they meet weekly, monthly, they have phone calls, they get to make those decisions. And it's whatever the mentoree needs. So some of the things have been, I have situations at work and I'm not quite sure how to deal with them. And then having the mentor help walk them through those situations. I just got a big promotion and I'm not sure what that means. Having the mentor walk them through that. So again, just that support. I imagine pep talks.
Yes.
Just whatever they need. And it's been very successful, and everybody who's participated in the program has immensely enjoyed it. So it's a great program. Everybody needs a mentor, or at least to have mentoring moments.
I agree with you 100% on that. Yeah. Because, one of the things that comes up is I never want to put a name to this, right? But we all have that one special person in our life probably that pushed us to that degree. And in your career in HR, you could probably look back and maybe remember. It's hard. I won't make you say because, it's one of those things that you don't
actually, I would love to say.
Then tell me.
And it's been a couple of bosses that I've had. I had a boss who really believed in professional development. You know, the first boss that I had who told me I should get certified, who told me I should go back to school, you know, he really believed in professional development and put his money where his mouth was.
Wow.
So how can our organization pay for you to be a better, well-rounded professional? So I will always cherish that.
Yes.
You know, the boss that I had who gave me my first big promotion, like, you're capable of being in management. You know, I will always remember that.
Yeah.
And even my current new boss just saying, we need somebody to build our function, and I think you're the person to do that. Let me give you this opportunity.
What a great
Those
moment.
are all moments that, you know, I will keep, that will go with me forever.
Those
that
are
have
great moments.
pushed me, you know, to the next level. So yes, those mentoring moments and being given that opportunity and having somebody support you and push you up, everybody needs that.
So let's talk a little bit about HR and maybe some best practices and when the rubber hits the road. Okay, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
This is what people usually tune in to hear, right? And we'll get we'll do the best we can on what advice we can give them, and I think that's what we're here to do.
Okay.
So, from the idea of, you know, I was listening to a vlog the other day, and unfortunately I'm a 2 a.m.er watching videos all night long, and I shouldn't do that. But I was listening to a vlog the other day, and they're discussing the war on talent, and they were discussing, okay, well, there's specifically in Austin and in other areas, we have this very tight, I guess, talent pool that we need to gain, whether it's coders or whatever type of people we're hiring. Even in manufacturing, right? It's difficult to find the right folks, especially with the cost of living here. So he kind of flipped the script on me in this video, and I was going to kind of do that on you and say, is the war on talent more on the external side? Yes, we do have to grow, but should we be more focused on the internal employees that we currently have in retaining those? Is that our real war? And then, so my question to you would be twofold. Best practices in trying to hire and gain new employees, and then best practices maybe on the retention end.
Yeah, so I think the war on talent applies to both areas. So keeping the people that we have, but also attracting the new, wonderful, great people. And really, in my experience, I think companies should take it back to the basics of what makes somebody want to come work at a company and stay at that company. So, you know, we see a lot of perks today.
Yes.
And it's great that we can play ping pong at work and drink beer after 5 or before 5 or whatever's going on.
Right.
All those things are great, but some of the basics of, we have good insurance that I can actually afford to use. You know,
Yes.
I can take time off if something comes up in my life and be supported in that. Let's take it back to the basics, because we go back to, and we've talked about this today, people want to feel valued, they want to feel included, you know, they want to feel like they're heard. So I think that's where companies are falling off a lot. They're not taking it back to the basics, and they're using these other perks, you know, to say that, oh, we have all these perks. But at the end of the day, we should take it back to the basics. The other point I'd like to make about that is, with this war on talent, and we know in Central Texas, definitely our unemployment rate is under 4%. So that is tight. Let's look for a different kind of talent. So again, I keep coming back to this diversity and inclusion.
There you
So
go.
if we start looking for different pipelines of talent, I think it would open up. So let's look for the candidate that we don't usually recruit. Let's go to universities we don't usually go to. Let's partner with organizations we don't usually partner with to find this talent. I think that is valid, and I think that it is needed. And if we talk about the one thing that companies can do, they can take action to be different. So, you know, that's just my 2 cents, but that's my 2 cents on the war on talent. Take it back to the basics, and let's recruit different people.
Well, Angela, I want to, first of all, thank you for your time, because there's a lot of things in life that we can replace. We can always make more money, right? We can always find more friends. At least we hope we can. I don't know if I can anymore, but I do my best, right? But we can't find more time. So your time is very important to me. That being said, we're going to have a little fun because I like to always have a little fun. And so that process, let me think about tell me about your favorite song. What's your favorite song and why?
My favorite song is "Best of My Love" by The Emotions, old school R&B. So I have to go old school R&B.
I like
but
it.
it's such a catchy tune, and I think the words can apply to lots of situations, not just romantic situations.
Right.
So it just talks about doesn't take much to make me happy or to make me smile with glee, and that really describes me as a person. I'm a pretty happy, positive person. And if you ask somebody about me, they're always going to probably mention my laugh. So I feel like that song is just a great representation of who I am as a person. And anytime I hear it, I have to do a little shimmy because it's just a catchy song.
It is a catchy song. And I'm going to tell you that from today's, interaction with you, I personally feel energized. I feel your empathy towards others and your humility towards others and your willingness to sacrifice and lead others as an inspiration. I hope others who are watching this through the HR blockchain feel the same way and comment and leave whatever they want to leave on this. I think they're going to be very pleased to have seen this. So there's a little surprise for you, a token for you. You said you shimmy. I don't know about a shimmy because I've never shimmied. I'm not much of a shimmy. You don't want me on the dance floor. But I will give you a little bit of this because I think we should have a little fun before we leave. Thank you so much, Angela, for your time. You are fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you, my dear. I appreciate you. All right.
Thank you.
Make sure you subscribe, guys. Lots more to come. Bye-bye.
Bye.